Hey everyone, it's Andy. It is live office hours time. Today it's about the job interview, more specifically, one tip that wins every job interview. I promise it's going to be a fun one. I promise it's going to be a fun one. At the end of this show, you are going to know how to make sure you leave the interview with absolutely no doubt in the job interviewer's mind you are the right person for the job. It's going to come in especially handy. I want you to imagine or think back to these scenarios, whether this was yesterday or last year. You were going in for an interview, you had the job description, you were thinking to yourself, I can't believe it, the employer must have been thinking about me when they wrote this job description. I am absolutely going to nail this interview. You prep, you get ready, you go in, you come out, you get home, you think, nailed it, only to find the phone's ringing, or worse yet, maybe you get the email that says, wah, wah, we're not hiring you. And you're wondering, what happened? Well, I don't know exactly what happened in that situation, but this much I can tell you. After doing 20,000 interviews of my own, and observing and debriefing at least that many more, I can tell you with a great deal of certainty that you have a much greater chance of failing a job interview because of a miscommunication than you do a lack of your qualifications. I want you to think about this. What's actually happening? An employer invites you in for an interview. That act alone says to you, you're qualified. That's what they're telling you. You're qualified. Otherwise, we would not take the time to interview you. So what happens from the time you go from being qualified on paper to not getting the job offer? You got to go into the interview. You got to open your mouth. The interviewer's got to open his or her mouth. You start talking, noise comes out, right? You're trying to exchange information. You're doing it in a compressed amount of time, and you're making assumptions. You're filling in gaps. You're trying to extrapolate to make a good career decision. They're trying to determine if you're going to be a good employee for them. So what do you do? What do you do when that interviewer is unskilled? When that interviewer comes in with poorly designed questions that doesn't elicit the information that he or she needs to make a good decision? What do you do when the interviewer comes in with a poor collection of questions that won't get them the information they need to make a great decision about you? And that decision is they should hire you. So what can you do? What do I always talk about? We focus on what we can control. And you can take control of that interview and make sure that despite that ineptitude or maybe their poor line of questioning or their lack of preparation, that they come to the right decision, which is to hire you. So I'm going to teach you today how to take control of that interview to make sure you're getting them the information that they need to know that hiring you is a good idea. Before we do that, I want to say hello. I'm sure some of you just found me a few hours ago. I love to introduce myself always at the start of these things. My name's Andy LaCivita. I'm the award-winning author of the Hiring Prophecies and Interview Intervention, and I've made it my mission in life to help people succeed in their careers. And one of my favorite ways to do that is by holding these free live office hours on Thursday on my YouTube channel. So welcome. I am thrilled to have you all. I can see in my peripheral vision here that the chat is rocking. I love it. Chime in, talk with each other, kibitz amongst yourselves. If you got questions for me, just put some question marks in front of your question, because there's always a lot of chatter on the chat. So I want to be able to pick out those questions easily. So you're welcome to ask me whatever you want, and I'm going to teach for a little while, and then at the end I'll answer your questions. I always come to this dance bearing gifts. I also want you to know that in the description down below, there's a couple of great job searching gifts. There's a webinar, there's a download, there's a link to my training site, there's a link to my blog, there's tons of free stuff on there as well. I also put my entire social platform in the description. So if you're a Facebooker or you're on Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram, wherever you are, connect up with me. I'd love to carry on the conversation with you there as well. Happy to have it. Wherever you are, I will be there, and I'd love to get connected with you there. And if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do, because in addition to these live office hours, I also release other videos and series and things of that nature. So I want to make sure you get those. So please subscribe. Now, let's talk about the tip. But before we talk about the tip, I need a drink of water. All right, that technique I promised you. So one of the things about this technique, it's important that you understand why you want to use it and when you want to use it. And in order to know why and when you want to use it, you need to know a little bit about interviewing questions. Now, all the interview questions that have ever been asked for all time, that will ever be asked for all future time, all the millions of interview questions that ever get asked, the one thing that I want you to know is there are only two types of interview questions. No matter how an employer disguises them, there are only two types. There's questions about your past and there's questions about your future. Questions about your past, questions about your future. Questions about your past are things like, tell me about a time when. Walk me through your resume. What did you like about your last boss? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Tell me about this project. Tell me about that project. So things that you've done already. Questions about the future sound a little more like, hey, we have this situation. I want to know how you would address it. Here's the situation. Tell me what you would do. Or how about this one? Yuck. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what kind of boss are you looking for? What would be a great next career move? Those tend to be questions about your future. So regardless of what the employer is asking you, they're either about your past and they're either about your future, or they're about your future. And you might be thinking, why do I care about that? I get asked the questions, I answer them effectively. Right. So here's why you need to know which type of question you're getting asked. So I want to flip over, bear with me here. I've got a little slide here or two for you, and I want to make sure that I can illustrate this for you. Here you go. Okay, you've got a little blue screen here. I mentioned there's two types of interview questions. Now what happens here, when I mentioned about the miscommunications, you do have a great chance of being, well, I guess of not doing well because of a lack of communication or a false assumption, which still is of the same variety, that the employer makes. So I want you to understand these two types of questions about your past and future because I want to show you this little graph here. Now, for those of you that have read the hiring prophecies, this graph is in the hiring prophecies, and it's what I use to help organizations understand how to best recruit employees. So I'm trying to help them identify the best employees for their organization. So what I explain to them is that if you want to make a great decision, you have to have more information. It's got to be complete. So essentially speaking, this graph here in the career evolution of a person, obviously time goes on. Hopefully there's achievement record and their capabilities are rising, but there's questions about your past, that's your achievement record, the things you've done, why you decided, what you decided, how you accomplished it, and so forth. And then there's questions about your future. What the employer ultimately needs to determine is how will you operate in their environment in the future? That's ultimately what they need to answer for themselves. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what school you went to. I don't care how many jobs you have. I don't care how much money you earn. I don't care what the color of your hair is or where you live or whatever. The most important thing that an employer needs to assess is how will that candidate operate in their environment. So what I explain to employers and what I want you to understand is you should be, as a job candidate, trying to give the employer all of this information. The employer, of course, should be eliciting it from you, but it's really important that they need that. But here's what happens, and I want to switch back so you can see my face. But here's what happens. When you get into a job interview, employers generally tend not to ask a lot of questions about the future. They don't understand how to simulate well. They don't really know how to look into the future. They're not very effective at it. Most interviewers aren't, to be able to assess how you will operate in the future. So what they fall back on is a lot of questions about your past. Nod your head if you're agreeing with me, or give me a thumbs up if you're agreeing with me. Think about how many questions you get asked about your history, your resume, and your projects. The reason employers do that is it's an easier line of questioning for them, But sadly, the primary reason they do that is most of them believe, falsely, that your past performance and your past behaviors are great predictors of your future performance and future behaviors. It's total and utter nonsense, but that's what they think. As if something you did 3 years ago, and the way you did it 3 years ago, is the way you're going to do it tomorrow. I think yesterday that I wouldn't do the same way today. So I want you to understand this, because here's what happens. When they're asking you these questions about your past, and you're going on and you're telling them your story, and I did this and I did that and so on and so forth, and I was rocking and we had these great results, that sounds great in your head, doesn't it? It sounds great to you. But what's going through their head is, yeah, that sounds great, but our environment's different. Our products are more complicated. Our processes are more intricate. Our customers are more stubborn. Every employer thinks their environment is the most complicated. So if you tell your story and you don't include the exact parameters that they're looking for, they start speculating that you can't really do it effectively in their environment. And how do I know this? Well, a lot of you know I have a search firm called Mile Walk. Been running it for 15 years. Have introduced a lot of candidates to a lot of clients of mine, hiring companies. I get the candidates, they get all excited, they get prepped, they go in for their interview, they have great interviews, they come out, they call me up, they say, Andy, nailed it, right? Had a great session, really looking forward, I really want this job, really looking forward to hearing from the employer. I call my client says to me something like, we loved your candidate. She told great stories, really has a great background, but we're not really sure she can do it in our environment. And a lot of times what I need to ask my client is, well, did you ask her? Did you simulate what it would be like to work in your environment and give her those specs and have her answer those problems? Well, we didn't really do that. Or how about this one? Let's go to the other side of the equation. Maybe they asked a futuristic question. Here's our scenario. How would you handle it? The candidate goes through the stories. I call up the client. The client says to me, Andy, you know what? Your candidate gave great textbook answers perfectly. Really knew her stuff and how she would handle herself in our environment. But we're not really sure that she's done it before. To which I always have to ask, well, did you ask her? Did you look at the resume? Did you dive down deep? Did you look at my notes? And a lot of times they say things like, ran out of time, don't have a great feel for that, so we're going to move on. This is what's happening when you think you're doing a great job in the interview. I couldn't make this stuff up. This is actually happening. So remember, employers are speculating and oftentimes misspeculating that you cannot do the job, when the simple fact of the matter is their questions weren't designed to elicit all the information that they need. So what can you do? What can you do to take control to make sure this never happens to you? All right, here's the technique. Let me flip back to the blue screen. So here's what I want you to think about. All right, so here's the scenario, and I want you to think about these scenarios. If you are asked a question which requires you to tell a story about how you did something or how you would do something. So how did you do that in your past, and how would you do that in your future? So think in terms of something where you have to say, here's what I did. Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. Or here's what I would do first, here's what I would do second, here's what I would do third. What I want you to do is make sure that you control the interview until you can answer both sides of time, both questions. I want you to talk about your past, and I want to talk about your future. Now, I want to illustrate this for you because I think it's going to make a whole lot of sense when you see exactly what I mean. So I said there are two types of questions. One's about your past, one's about your future. So if you get a question where the employer says, tell me about a time where you had to do this, or you had to do that, or tell me about that project, or whatever it is, what did you do? How did you do it? How did you solve it? How did you organize it? How did you do whatever? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to immediately respond. I want you to tell them the story just as you would. And when you're finished, before you take a breath, before you turn it back to them, I want you to say, okay, so here's how I did it in the past. Do you have a current situation or anticipate one in the future you'd like me to address so you can get a good sense of how I would operate in your environment under your parameters or your constraints or with your, whatever it might be, whatever's appropriate. This way, you're filling in the narrative and you're controlling what they think about your future because you're going to fill them in on exactly how you would do something. And what that allows them to do is envision what it would like to have you working there and get a good sense that you in fact can do it in their environment, even though you might not have operated under the exact same set of parameters or characteristics or risks or whatever. So you're completely removing their speculation. Now, maybe it goes the other way. Maybe they ask you a question about the future. Maybe they ask you a simulator. Hey, we have this situation. How would you handle it in our environment? Tell them how you do it. I do this first. I do this second. When you get done, don't turn control back to them. Then what I would say is, that's how I would handle it. Would you be interested in me sharing a situation where I've actually done this before or where I've handled a similar situation to this? What this is doing is it's allowing them to now make sure that you actually have the right experience wherever it is that you were, whether that was last month, last year, 5 years ago, or whatever, but that you have experience you can draw on. So you are giving them all of the information. All right, back to me. Okay, so I hope that illustration helped. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on, do I have to do that at every question I get asked? Of course not. Not every question is going to be a step-by-step lengthy response. What you want to focus on is those parts of the interview where you're required to really tell a story and really take them through a scenario. You can bet that those are the most pivotal parts of the interview where you are spending a lengthier time giving them a response. Just because it's long doesn't mean you're long-winded. A lot of times you have to take them through what you did. It's those situations where you're going through that step-by-step that I want you to focus on. If they say, hey, what'd you love about your last boss, or what are you looking for in your next boss, and just answer those. But if you have to tell a story, you want to make sure you're giving them both sides of time, the past and the future. Okay? And then the other thing is, what if you ask that question, but they don't want one? They just say, no, we're good. If they're good, that's fine. Then move on. And take a little comfort in knowing, hey, you probably scored some points in asking the question because nobody asks the question in the middle of the interview like that, where you're trying to help them out to make sure that they get that information. You're not being long-winded. It's not being controlling in their mind. It will be helpful and beneficial. So I hope you like that tip. Remember, you want to make sure that you don't leave any room for doubt, and the best way to do that is making sure that they have all the information they need, even if they didn't ask it, even if they were going to move on to something else. So you just want to make sure of that. All right, that's the tip. For those of you who are on the podcast or watching this in the future on the podcast, I'm saying so long to you, and we'll see you next Thursday. For those of you that are here with me in the chat, if you're loving this stuff, hit the thumbs up button. I always want to see, how you're feeling about the likes and all that good stuff. Ask me your questions in the chat. I'm going to go to that here in a minute. And it's 5:18 where I am. I'm happy to go 40 more minutes and I'll take your questions. So we'll go to top of the hour. Then I have another meeting I have to run to. But let's do it. All right, let's see who's here. Give me a second to rifle up the chat. Renaissance Man, great to see you. AC, Praveen, good to see you. Jessica, glad you made it from sunny California, I'm guessing. Kellen, good to see you. Jasmine, Mark Kellner, good to see you, buddy. Good luck here coming up soon. Morgan, Richard, we got you. Maria, Donald, Tristan's with us. Also Jules, Julia, Maria, Ingrid. Hey, Ingrid, Baby Turtle's here. Lucas. Dave, oh, we got a great crowd. And Kara's here with her wrench. Everybody give Kara a shout out. I gave her the blue wrench this week. So she's now helping me control the chat. All right, let's take some questions. Okay, Renaissance Man is asking, how do you address weird issues like when a phone interview is held at an airport? Renaissance Man, The one thing you didn't tell me is, are you at the airport or are they at the airport? So if you are at the airport, you should not be taking the phone interview. One thing about phone interviews, folks, you want to make sure that you are taking them in a quiet and focused place. You want no distractions. You want to be able to take notes. You don't want noise. Nothing irritates me or people who are interviewing you more when then there's loads of background noise. And I can hear the background noise over you. It's very difficult to concentrate. People start screaming. It's nuts. So I actually do have an article on the Mile Walk blog, or on my Tips for Work and Life blog, where I talk about phone interviews. I would check that out. Renaissance Man, if you're talking about the recruiter or the hiring official or any of the people from the employment company, do your best. Do your best. That's all I can say there. Sometimes recruiters will schedule their executives' interviews while their executives are flying all over the place. It used to happen to me when I was working for larger corporations. It's not an ideal situation. All right, let me buzz down. All right, let me see. Mark, good luck on everybody give Mark a big thumbs up here on his Skype interview coming up. With Skype, Mark, make sure that I know you didn't ask a question here, but since for any of you that are on video interviews, what I want to make sure of is that you get comfortable talking to a camera. So I'm talking into a camera, but I know you're on the other end there. And when you're looking at a computer screen and you can see the other person in front of you, that's great. But it's always better if you're looking at your lens or at your little FaceTime camera or whatever your computer camera is, your video camera, or whatever you're using, so that you have eye contact with them. They will appreciate that. All right, Jasmine, great to have you. Morgan, great to have you from Canada. Jessica, good luck on your phone interview. Richard Swinson, got a question. All right, can I use my elevator pitch as the first line of the career profile? I would not suggest that. I would rather you blend your pitch throughout your entire profile, and without getting into these very specific language. By the way, folks, I do have a career profile live office hours that I did. I think it might have been last summer, so not quite a year ago. But how to write the career profile. That career profile teaches you what to include in the profile that makes it effective. If you want to go one notch lower and know exactly how to write the career profile, as in I give you the exact sentence structure and the words and the fill in the blanks, you got to join my boot camp. So, you know, each level of information that I share with the world, a lot of these free videos and a lot of the webinars that I offer and those kind of things give you a lot of great information about what to do. A lot of my paid training courses tell you exactly how to do it and give you all the lowest level tools. That's what comes when you enroll in the Mile Walk Academy. So, but that's, Richard, that's what I would do. I would check out that career profile live office hours or join the boot camp, of course. Let's see, Maria, Donald. Let's see here. Just sipping down. Lucas Santoro, how you doing, buddy? Okay, how to tailor my resume. I'm 21 and looking for my first career-related job. I studied marketing in Buenos Aires. That's a pretty broad question, but the one thing that I would suggest for you, Lucas, is check out my video titled "This One Trick Will Make Your College Resume Stand Out." You can get it on my blog or you can get it on the YouTube channel. And on either of those, I have the collegiate resume template that you can use. You can download that, it's free, and I would check that out. David Nowry, good to see you. Baby Turtle. Caitlin from Australia, I love it. And Kara already beat me to it. See, I give her a wrench and she's already answering my questions for you. Yes, check out that ace your telephone job interview in 8 steps. It's an article I wrote a while back when I was solely writing articles, and it's a good one though. All right, and Amelia LaCivita is here. That's Mom, everybody. So you got to be nice to me while Mom's not in the house. David, good to see you from Florida. All right. Okay, look at that. Kara answered Lucas' question too. All right, this is good. All right, here we go. R. Walker, my Russian friend. Hi, and yes, I know I know you're here with me every week, buddy. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, after ATS denial, networking via LinkedIn using your technique and going through the 3 tough interviews. Going through 3 tough interviews, I got a job offer. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. Congratulations. I don't think that's a question. I think that's just a darn good statement. So congratulations to you, buddy. I'm really happy. I know you've been working hard at this stuff. Diane, hey to you. Jasmine, Jasmine was asking if the video is freezing. Folks, if ever you see the video freeze, just refresh your browser. I've got a good, healthy stream, it looks like, through my little spaceship here and through YouTube Live. So hopefully no one else is having issues. All right, let me see. Carmen, good to see you. Trevor, Nicole Mayo, good to see you. Bill Burns, haven't heard from you in a while. Good to see you. Nay, good to see you. April, nice to see you. All right, Travis Mayo, you're welcome. Richard Swinson, got another one. Okay, work experience bullet points. All right, let me see this. All right, so Richard is asking a resume bullet question, wants to know about quantifying figures, which is better overall, using daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly figures. He's been working at the same company for 5 years. Folks, and Richard, by the way, that is an awesome question, and here's what I would do. When you, for those of you who have not seen the Andy LaCivita resume template, the first thing I would do is go to How to Build the Ultimate Professional Resume. It's a free 19-minute recorded video on my YouTube channel and my blog, and on that video, there is a resume template. It's with instructions. It's a PDF template, which everybody seems to get mad at, but it's a PDF template, and I lay out all the sections for you, and inside the template, I put instructions to give you some guidance as to what to put in each section. Just take out the text and move it into a Word document and format it with whatever font you want. The reason that I want you to go and check that out is because the answer to Richard's question lies in the format of the resume and the layout. So what I recommend is you have a career profile at the top. Then below that career profile is a summary. It is a snapshot of you as a professional or a college student, but as a professional, and you aggregate your accomplishments. So you want to do a whole roll-up. So if you're a salesperson, add up all the dollars you've ever sold, and that number should go in the top at the career profile. I've sold $100 million a year. In Richard's case, if I remember correctly, Richard, you help and facilitate training and maybe it's an even entertainment at outdoor facilities. So you have lots of people in your care, or that you're helping, or that you're teaching, or that you're entertaining, or that you're developing, or whatever. So if you've been doing it 5 years, you might want to say in your profile, overall in my life, I've helped 50,000 people. And then as you get into the details, you might want to say in your bullets, in your professional experience, helped on average, 10,000 students or participants or members or customers per year. And now I can see, oh, well, at those 5 years, or maybe it's 50 at this one and 50 at that one, and so it's 100 up top. So you want to try to layer it so that all the numbers that are in the body of your resume can be rolled up and included in the numbers in the top of the resume. And what the career profile with the aggregation does is, bang, hits you between the eyes. Like, wow, man, that's a lot of people he's influenced. That's right. And now I'm going to show you where I did all that. So I didn't just make that number up. So on average, so if you're a hostess and you think you can't quantify what you do, how many people do you seat a year, a night, a week? Is it 500 people, or 100 people a day for 5 days a week? That's 500 times 50 weeks of the year. That's a lot of people that you're servicing. So you can play around with whether you want to say per week or per year, but in aggregate, roll it up to the top, put it in the career profile, and then break it down in your bullets in your professional experience. So if you guys don't have the resume template, go grab it. And if you'll be able to look at the instruction and kind of see what it is, but that's the way I would lay it out. So I hope that helped. All right, Lucas. Okay, this is a great question. Lucas has an interview with his boss's boss next Thursday. What can be of interest to him? Can you tell me some do's and don'ts? It's for a sales support internship. So here's one thing that I would offer to all of you as you work through the layers of the company and the levels of the people that you interview with. So Lucas, the higher up you go in the food chain, the more important the corporate strategy is, the bottom line is, meaning how much profit and so on. And if it's for a sales support position, your boss is motivated by the amount of revenue that your company generates, or this company generates, and the profits, and his boss is certainly concerned about that as well. He's probably concerned about building a great sales team and so on. So as you speak to people that are higher up in the company, you want to make sure that you are elevating the types of questions that you're asking. So you don't want to ask your boss's boss what he's looking for in an intern. You want to focus more on the corporate strategy, how what you do can fit into that, what's important to him. And I also, as a personal touch, would rather you focus on the boss's boss, what it is that he would like to offload onto your boss, so that your boss could offload what he's doing onto you and how you can contribute to making that guy's life easier. So you always want to figure out ways to get somebody to care about you. And generally, one of the greatest ways to do that is by helping him or her understand that you want to make their life better. So if he can offload stuff to his boss, to your boss, and your boss can offload stuff to you that makes everybody's life easier, that's always a good thing. So the do's are elevate the level of questions. You want to make sure that you are asking corporate level questions, not role specific questions. You want to talk to your boss's boss more about the corporation and where it's going, as opposed to what your individual job is doing. Okay, so those are some do's. And some don'ts are, don't bring your boss's boss down into the weeds with you. So you want to make sure that you're kind of layering your questions that way. But that's what I would do there, for sure. Okay, on to the next one. Tor, I took your advice about sending an email. Great. Kellen, question. If given a choice of dates and times to interview, do you think it's better to go first, last, or somewhere in the middle? Kellen, that's a great question. However, I need context. So think about these scenarios, folks. So if somebody calls me and says, "I'm coming, you can come in for an interview." We're interviewing everybody on Tuesday. Well, do you want to be first when the person is fresh, or do you want to be at the end when the person is tired? But people generally tend to remember what they did last. So it depends. Is it all happening in a day? If it's happening all in one day, I want to be first. Okay? 8 hours is not that long, and they won't forget you. and you're going to get them when they're freshest if it's all happening in one day. If it's happening over the course of a week, I want to be last, because on the day I go in, if I'm the only one that's going to be meeting with them, then I want to come in and I want to be last, and I'll tell you why. Because when you're last, you get to ask about the other candidates. You get to say, how's it going with the other candidates? What are you seeing? What do you find appealing about them? What are they lacking? Those kind of things. So the more data you can gather and use to your advantage, I would always want to be able to do that. And I would find creative ways to gather that information, but as long as I knew that the individual wasn't going to be tired. The other thing too is I don't want to meet with them on Friday at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So there's a lot of variables there. My wife had a situation where she was going in for a position. She's a teacher. She was going into a position at a different school, but they were doing it all in one day. So I recommended she go first, and she did. Made a great impression. It worked out great. I mean, but there's a lot of variables there. I also don't know how many candidates they're dealing with. Are they dealing with 2 or 10? So all of those are gonna play a part in deciding what specifically to do. All right, Craig from Australia, great to see you. Steve, great to see you. Bill, Andy, is it possible to recover? Okay, wait, this is a good one. Andy, is it possible to recover from a bad or defective answer to a good question in an interview? Is it meaning, all right, Bill, I'm not sure I know what you mean. Do you mean you gave a bad answer and then you said to a good, so they asked you a good question and you gave a bad answer and you're wondering if you can recover. You can always recover. So that whole, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, it depends. But I would try to recover very quickly. And normally, if you're going to try to recover, your best asset when you're going to try to recover is if you can somehow explain a misunderstanding that you had about the question. So is there a way, it's one thing to say, okay, here's what I would do. And then say, no, I changed my mind, actually I would do this. But I would rather say, here's what I would do. Oh, wait, hang on a second. I didn't understand this side of it or that side of it or something of that nature. So if you get a chance to change a variable and you can say, in that case, here's what I would do, that's always a bit better. That's a better recovery if it's at your disposal. Since I don't know what the question was, it's hard and I don't know what your response was, it's hard for me to say, how I would do that. But I would say generically, if you can introduce a new circumstance, or at least, as you're going back and forth with the dialogue and say, hey, wait, hang on a second. Or if you can't, then say, hang on, now that I think about it, here's what I would do. Without knowing your question, but those are a couple tricks you can use to try to recalibrate, reset, and recover. I hope that helped. All right, Steve. I worked for a consulting firm. Okay, this is a great one. Steve, great question. Steve says, I worked for a consulting firm for 11 years and was at 18 different clients over those 11 years. How is the best way to put that on a resume? This is fantastic because I know a lot of you work for consulting firms. We actually have a lot of people in the Mile Walk Academy that work for consulting firms or are contractors even. So here's the best way to lay out a resume that, and I want to stress, Steve, is not an internal resume styled resume. So by internal resume, and for those of you who are not consultants, a lot of times consulting firms have internal resumes where they list, they've got Steve's name, that it says, I don't know what you do, Steve, but project manager or system engineer or whatever, business analyst or whatever. And then they say, project 1, project 2, project 3, project 4, project 5. And a lot of times they will circulate those to their clients so their clients can actually see what the consultants did. And they say, oh, hey, we love Steve. Look at all those 18 different clients he worked at and all those projects he did. All right, but that resume is probably 10 pages long. Okay, so I'm not talking about that. So obviously you don't want to put 10 pages worth of stuff into what should be a 2-page or less resume. So the best way to do that is to aggregate your responsibilities. So you want to say, you know, Steve so-and-so worked at consulting company XYZ from, you know, 2000 to 2011 or whatever. Do the easy math. Then what I would do is directly underneath the company, you want to put a paragraph, not a title, a paragraph underneath the company that says, project manager, project managed several, 18 different client accounts, projects ranging from 2 to 5 million, team sizes ranging from 1 to 80, boom, 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 helping, companies do this, putting in customer relationship management systems, something like that. You just gave a mini bio of your entire stint with that organization. Then what you want to do is you want to go down and maybe list a couple of, your title, whatever your title is, and then put some bullets, like your 3 highlights, like your 3 major biggies, and just put that. And that's it. People get it. They can see that you worked there for a long time. But here is the gold. Here's the gold. Since I don't know what you do, when you are a consultant, there are a couple things that are really sweet to break down. If you're a consultant, so all you in the consulting field out there, now I know this won't apply to everybody in the consulting field, if you are senior enough, so Steve, if you worked for 11 years, you were probably a pretty senior guy. Senior people in consulting firms are also responsible for selling or sales support or proposal development or whatever. They also might be responsible for actually consulting on the projects, which you did. And they also might be, depending on the size of your consulting firm or your function, you might be responsible for developing internal systems or optimizing things that your company does. Those are that's the 3 magical pieces. I sold, I delivered, and I helped build the infrastructure. If you have highlights in each of those areas, I would put the bullets that way. I would make the bullets about selling, delivering, and building out the company, because that's the most important stuff. And you could even put a bullet in there that says, also worked at notable, and by the way, if you're comfortable with it, not every consultant can put the client names on the resume, but if you can put the client names on the resume, you can say, and worked at Fortune 500 companies such as Disney, Pepsi, so on and so forth, and more details available upon request. And that's cool, because or you could say also worked on 18 different companies, including Fortune 500, financial services organizations, manufacturing, and so whatever it might be, or maybe you had a huge specialty, something like that, that's cool too. So, and it also depends on, and then I would give you a little bit more insight if I knew if it was all of your 11 years. So did you go out of college, start working, worked 11 years, or have you been working for 30 years and the last 11 at the consulting firm? That depends how much real estate I would take up on the resume. Okay, hope that helped. Baby turtle. All right, here we go. All right, so Baby Turtle's question is, he needs help or advice, years of experience as a financial analyst, first time looking for a job after 15 years in one job. That's okay. Got, I don't know if that's more than 8 phone and in-person interviews, no job offers, no feedback from the interviewers. Okay. So the first thing, this is just more of an opinion. That's terrible. And hey, let me do the lighting here. That's really awful that you're not getting feedback. So you're not getting the feedback. That's not great. And you're not getting the job offers. That's not great. So and here again, I don't know what all the scenarios are, but the one thing that I would do is I would go check out my free webinar called 3 Keys to Ace Any Job Interview. It's on the Mile Walk Academy, milewalkacademy.com. And watch it. It is a dead solid hour of coaching, and it covers interviewing. I mean, it is really, really strong and deep, and I think it will help you get over the hump. At least maybe diagnose what some of those issues are. By the way, folks, if you're loving this, share it out. Keep the questions coming. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know how you're feeling. I see, you know what, that just popped into my head because I saw Nicole, I saw Bill. Silvio's here. Silvio's here. He's a boot camper. April Bouchard is here, and all with the thumbs up. I love it. I love it. And Mark Peckney, look at this guy. Look at that suit. This is the new, actually just got a new job, Mark Peckney, and an 87 times ROI from my boot camp. Folks, I haven't talked a lot about the boot camp in this session. The boot camp is an entire framework from the beginning to the end. It's self-awareness, it's marketing, all the resume, cover letters, it's the job searching techniques, it's interviewing, and it's negotiation. You get live sessions, you get the recorded sessions, you get lifetime access, lifetime attendance. You get a whole year of ongoing monthly private coaching with me. And you get lifetime support. For the rest of your life, or at least the rest of my life, you have access to me and the training system whenever you have career questions. That's a pretty good honking deal. Check it out. Check it out. It's my job search bootcamp. That link is also in the description. And we had a bunch of people join today. I'm wondering if I'm going to see their names. S. Long, Stacy Long, she's a boot camper. Great to see you, Stacy. All right, and speaking of boot campers and Stacy, let's get to her question. How to get an interview when previous job title doesn't represent the level of experience you actually have within your new career. So many, they're looking through titles overshadowing actual experiences. So Stacy, I'm not sure what the title is, and I'm not sure how long you've been holding it, but most employers, honestly, and this is my opinion, and I'm also going to give you my survey's opinion. So we survey a lot of recruiters and a lot of HR people on this very question, and you would be surprised how few of them care about your title. So I know people think it's a big honking deal, but I scan down the resume, I look at the career profile, look at the highlights, and then I go and I look at the company names. All I'm looking for is good, reputable companies. Do not misunderstand me. I did not say big companies. I'm saying good, reputable companies. That could be a 10-person company. So it could be small. Recruiters know companies in their space. So I look at those companies. I don't pay any attention to the title. Then I look into the body of the resume and I look for the little paragraph to summarize what it was that you did, and I look at the responsibilities. If you can articulate effectively what it was you're doing, trust me, it's not going to be that big a deal. And applicant tracking systems are not so concerned with titles. They tend to be more concerned, if you are going through an applicant tracking system, with the keywords. So I would, interestingly, what I'm about to tell you, it just brings a huge smile on my face. So that's what I think, Stacy. Honestly, I'm not sure, where the concern is coming from, if you're experiencing it yet or you're actually hearing back from people. The good news for you is you're in the boot camp. You have access to me, so you let me know. But folks, one thing that I always say, and I'm smiling and I'm going to tell you why, and for Stacy and everybody else, if you are going to put your resume into an applicant tracking system, which I never recommend that be your first route. I always want you to try to find somebody to send your resume. If you have to put your resume into an applicant tracking system, use jobscan.co. Just how it sounds, jobscan.co. It's a tool that allows you to take your resume and the job description and put it into their system, and it tells you, kind of gives you some statistics and analytics about how effectively you would match that job description. And the reason I'm smiling is JobScan contacted me today, and they said, hey, we're hearing from a whole bunch of our people that you keep recommending our tool. Is there a way we can partner together? And I'm thinking, heck yes, I should be on your payroll. But anyway, Stacy, I would use that, and everybody, I would use that tool. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. And if you don't have a job description, if you're targeting a company and they don't have a job description, they just maybe have a title or they just say inquiries welcome, then what I would do is I would go to Indeed and I would grab a couple of job postings from companies that are competitors of the one you're applying to, use those job descriptions, put those into JobScan and your resume and see if you get some alignment. But I would try that. Stacy, I hope that helps, and everybody else as well. Okay. Dinesh, Jessica, April, Daniel, Gomez, how are you? Colleen, it is, what is it, like midnight where you are? Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Verna, good to see you. Lucas, great, wonderful. John Doe. John Doe. Is it really John Doe? All right. What's the best way to get beyond age discrimination? I'm landing interviews, but I really feel that being 50 is a deterrent. I know I have to work 20 more years, and I welcome it. Okay, so a couple things. I'm 51, all right? So a couple things on the age discrimination. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, because it does in some forms. That's the first statement. Second thing is, it is not nearly as prevalent as you think so, okay? Not usually. We've surveyed, we've done all this stuff, we've investigated. It's not as prevalent. Here's the issue with age. For all of you that are in my age bracket, there's some things that you need. One thing, John Doe, that I'm happy to hear about is you're getting interviews. So they're not discriminating on your resume. And I don't know what your resume looks like, but the good news is they're not discriminating on the resume. When you get the interview, whether it's a phone call or whether you get into the interview, there are a couple of biases you need to overcome. So you being 50 is not the big deal. It's what they think 50 represents, which you need to diffuse. And here's what people think. Well, he's 50, so he's really not up on current trends. Or he's 50, probably doesn't have the energy. Or you know, he probably doesn't want to, he's stuck in his ways. Or maybe he doesn't want to learn new things. I could tell you, I mean, I'm 51 and I am constantly learning every day and stretching and reinventing myself. There's no reason you can't. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I'm assuming that you are. So those are the issues you need to overcome in the interview. So the stories that you tell in the job interview need to be current. Check yourself. Are they old stories? Are they old processes? If you're talking about how you did something and it's not current, that could be a cue. If you are not stressing the fact that you really get excited about learning new things, if you are not up on current events, so you might be working at a company where the technologies are old, the processes are old, or whatever. That's still not an excuse for you not to be, or anybody that is, to be up to date on current trends. So I would focus on that. And by the way, I have a video on my blog and the YouTube channel that focuses on age discrimination in an interview. I think it's titled How to Overcome Age Discrimination in an Interview. Check that out. Also one other thing you can do. Being that you are 50, check out my video on the blog or YouTube about the keys to getting a senior role. There are 3 secrets or keys or something, I use some fancy word, that I focused on in the video. I would check that out too. And actually, I'm going to be doing a whole series of, I mean, this is some pretty sweet stuff that's coming, some free stuff that's coming for people in their 50s and senior people and all that good stuff. I am going to be hitting you tenured folks, and folks in my generation really hard with some really cool stuff. It's coming in a number of weeks, but anyway, and I hope that helps. Daniel Thomas, hi Andrew, thank you. And I got way to be a go-giver. Yes, I am a go-giver. And folks, if you have not read the book Go Giver, go read it. It's awesome. All right, Kara, here again. I'm slow to the party because Kara is telling John to go watch the age discrimination video. It's really, folks, it's good. If you are in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s or 70s, check it out. And I know it's helpful. I got an email. I got 3 emails the other day from people in their 60s who all landed jobs and said that video they thought did it for them. Kind of got them over the hump. So check that out. Kellen, what do we got here? Oop. Whoop. Sorry, folks. Sometimes I lean over and I accidentally swipe the keypad. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Hang tight. Wow, this is rocking here, man. I'm zipping all the way back here. Oh, man. How far back am I? Here we go. Okay. Kellen, I've seen your resume tips and love the layout. If aiming for a creative position at progressive companies, is it okay to add some style? Kellen, and everybody, I want you to be you. I don't want you to be me. I want you to put your own flair into things. And Kellen, if you are... Sorry, I'll turn that screen down. If you are on the creative side, for all you creatives out there, architects, creative designers, photographers, whatever, you've got to have a portfolio. You got to have a PDF or nice package, magazine style, whatever it is, that needs to accompany your resume. Okay? Don't put a lot of graphics and hieroglyphics and artsy-fartsy things in the resume. I would keep the resume very styled, very professional, and then I would include your work so they can actually see that. And by the way, that's especially true if you're putting your resume in an applicant tracking system. If you're putting your resume in an applicant tracking system, it does not like symbols. It does not like lots of graphics. It gets very confused. It's not very smart to begin with, and it's like you're making it dizzy. So don't do that. Okay, so I hope that helped. All right, got any tips? PhDs. All right, Rel Canucks. Okay, so I'm assuming you're from Canada. And the question, this is an awesome question. I do not get this one a lot. But PhDs going from academia to industry. I'm going to give you the same answer that I'm going to give the military veterans, and all the folks that make that shift where you're kind of crossing over from academics, the public service, any of that stuff, where you're then moving into the commercial industry. The biggest challenge that you face is, and this is really sad, but people in the commercial side are very lazy when it comes to extrapolating what you did and how it applies to what they do. So if you're if you're a teacher, professor, in research, whatever your position was, you've got to be able to map what you did to how that has prepared you and how it applies to the commercial jobs. You have to do that for them. They will not do that on their own. So your stories as you interview, you've got to be able to translate what you did to how it fits into their company. So my tips about that are, you got to make sure that you're ready to connect the dots. And as a matter of fact, even though you're in academia and I have not written a booklet for you, if you go to the Mile Walk blog and in the search bar you type military vet, it's the same problem that they have that you will have. And all, I literally could probably take that cover off and slap on academia on the cover. The concepts apply. So I would try that. From a resume perspective, your resume also will look very different to what they're accustomed to. So I would just be careful about, I don't know how long your resume is, or if you've done a lot of research and a lot of that is included in your CV. What you might want to do is you might want to pare down some of that stuff and make that a separate attachment. So literally have 2 documents that you would submit, the resume or your cover letter, your resume, and then any of the additional stuff that really is extensive that you might need to show. But that's that's some tips and tricks there. Jose Luis Avalos asked, he said, I'm not addressing this here, but do you or can you recommend a good resume writer? I do not recommend resume writers, meaning I don't think resume writers are worth it. No one will write your resume as well as you will. What I recommend, and this is my own style and personal product, but I'm telling you, with instruction, you can write a great resume. And if you get in my boot camp, not only do I give you the instruction and the layout and all the fill in the blanks, I actually review the resume for you. Literally, line by line, word for word, period, semicolons, dot the I's, cross the T's. I edit the whole thing. So that's something you might want to check out, because folks are, they are really making those resumes hum, and they're really having a lot of success getting interviews. The stuff works, but you spend an hour or two with me, I give you the exact instruction, I give you the layout of the resume. Unlike the PDF that's on the YouTube channel, in the Mile Walk Academy, in the boot camp, you get the Word template with a lot of the stuff filled in, and then you go and you overtype it. And so I basically say, insert this here, insert that there, insert that there. Here's the exact language to use. Here's exactly how to structure this. You do that. When you're done, you send it to me. Then I edit it. Then I send it back to you, and it's in great shape. So, folks, there's a lot of stuff that's in the boot camp that I really cover, and I know it's very hard for everybody to know. Some of you just found me today, probably. But that boot camp is really an entire framework. It has everything you need and every template, and it has me with you all the time. It's like I'm there with you every day, because I am there with you every day. Okay, let me see. Let me try to get to some of these other folks. Sam's got a question. I was asked to submit a resume for a senior program manager position, but held off because currently in professional drone pilot training for the next 3 months. Was this wise? My gut says yes. Sam, I wish I could answer that for you. Things of that nature, these are personal preferences. I am a fan of focusing on the thing you desire the most. So if you are drone pilot training, go for it, man. I would. And listen, you being a program manager, program managers and project managers and people who are organized and detailed and know how to manage people and know how to interact with customers, you are like my favorite people on earth, because you've got it all. You have to develop all the skills. That's what is so special about what you do. So, if you're a senior program manager, I'd say take the 3 months, go to the pilot training, check it out, do it, make a career out of that, or go back, do whatever you want, go back to being a program manager when the time is right. Nicole Mayo, thumbs up. Folks, I see a lot of thumbs up. Click the like button. I love it. Share this sucker. All right, Verna, how would someone answer how well you do something now that you were very advanced in but haven't used it for a while? So, I think what you're getting at here is, if somebody's asking you how proficient you are, being that it's a little stale for you, you haven't used it in a while. Here again, I don't know what a while looks like. Is a while 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 6 years? Depending on which of those it is, would shape the way that I answer that. But here's what I would tell you. Even if it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would say, you know what? It's so ingrained in me, and I keep up to date on the trends in that, and for example, and start illustrating how you're up to speed and all that good stuff, and how you're in tune and how you're knowledgeable. Because remember, if you're going into these interviews, you've got to have a pretty good inclination of what they're going to be concerned about. The job description ought to highlight that for you. So that's what I would do. April, Caitlin, Mark, good to see you again. DJ, hello Andy, new subscriber, love it, love it, love it. Demetrius, Bill Burns, I hope I helped you there, man. I wish I'd had a little more color on that. Shoot. By the way, folks, I know we're at the top of the hour, I'm going to take a few more questions. If I don't get to your questions, this video is recorded, it'll be done, and then it'll be right on the YouTube channel and available for a replay. Go into the comment section and just ask me the questions. I really try to keep up with my YouTube comments. I'm usually pretty good at it. Last Sunday, I spent like 6 hours doing nothing but answering YouTube comment questions. And so I really want to engage with you, and I'll do my best to help you, or at least point you right to where you can find it on my YouTube channel, if I don't have it, or my webinars, or wherever, or my free stuff. So don't be bashful. Get in the comments. Ask me your questions. All right. All right, let me see here. East and Royale, interviewing with a VP of department and VP of HR, and then the chief officer. Okay, I'm assuming that's either chief operating officer or chief exec officer. What type of different questions should I prepare for? Okay, so here's what I would do. I've got a webinar about how to find a job you love. In that webinar, there is a booklet that I offer for free. It's called Ace Your Job Interview. Master the best response, or master the best answers to the 14 most effective job interview questions. In that booklet, it isn't just those 14 questions. It's 43 variations of those 14 questions. So imagine that. I'm giving you, packaged in 14 sections, 43 questions. Why the employer asks them, what the employer is looking for, a little color around it, and the very best responses. I guarantee you that the lion's share of the interviews with all of those will be in that booklet. So if you go watch How to Find a Job You Love, folks, if you're ever in doubt, go to the Mile Walk Academy. Zip down into the webinars section, click that, watch that. It's an hour-long webinar. It's got 10 pro tips, the 10 best steps you can take, all that good stuff. And then there's a ebook at the end. You can just download it. It literally, we put it right in there. You click the button and it gives you the PDF right there. It's magazine style. It's really cool. It's one of my most popular downloads. I would prep for that. Okay, Kara is telling me that people are asking about the live office hours special, or the live, or actually, wait, sorry. Wait, this I want you to know. Since you guys are asking, this is pretty cool. I've got this job search boot camp, which I've mentioned. And on the boot camp, there is, you get this entire framework. And in addition to the entire framework, where it's literally every single thing you need, it's 5 live sessions, which you can jump in on if you're available. The next round is March 20th, so it's in like 12 days. And then it's like every other day, and in 9 days, you're all done. That's if you can participate in the live session. But if you enrolled in it today, I have on-demand versions. It's already there. It's like 14 hours of instruction. You get a whole year's worth on top of that of monthly coaching with me on career development and a bunch of other stuff. You get lifetime access. You get lifetime support. So it's like having me at your fingertips whenever you need me. You just go into the training portal, you type whatever your question is, and I answer it. So it's really a lot of fun. You get a Facebook community. You get the training support. It's really a lot of fun. And I do the resume review like I was describing for somebody else here just a few minutes ago. It's really cool. And here's what else I do. If you are an existing student in the Mile Walk Academy and you've spent any dollars, all of your dollars can be credited toward the boot camp. So if you've already spent a couple $100, that's a couple $100 less for the boot camp. The other thing is, if you've been jilted by another trainer, if you've invested in somebody else's training and you don't like it, I'll take you at your word, and you let me know, hey, Andy, I bought so-and-so's resume writing class and I didn't get out of it what I needed to. If you've done it within the last couple of months, up to $197, whatever, you just send me the receipt, I give you a credit. I eat those dollars for you. I give you a credit because you didn't like somebody else's training, up to $197, so up to almost $200 off my boot camp. So it's really a lot of fun, and the boot camp right now goes for like $597, but if you check out the webinar, we offer a special for, I think it's $497. It's some dollars off, but it's a great deal. I mean, it's a super great deal. You get everything you need, and you got me right there. I'm right there with you. So, and it's a lot of fun, and I know we've got some boot campers here that are on the session, and we've been having just a rockin' time. I will make sure you get to where you want to go. I will make sure of it. So, all right, let me see. Let me take a couple more questions. Sorry about the lighting. Lighting seems to be jazzed up there. All right, let me see. All right, wait, David Nowry. Wait, Scrappy Wheels. Sorry, I missed that one. Scrappy Wheels asked me, how do I get an internship with a real estate agent? I would, Scrappy, honest to God, it's the same way you'd get an internship with anybody else. You got to target those real estate agents with your covers and your resume. The one thing that I would also do, I have a video out on my YouTube channel that's how to find a job or how to apply when there's no job opening. Check that out. I even give you like the cover letter sample to pitch to them. That's what I would do there. David Nowry, recruiters call me up wanting my rate immediately. Yeah, I think that's ridiculous, honest to God. And Sylvia's here. Question, I remember I had an interview in an elevator. It was really strange. Strange. I don't know what the question is. Fawn, I interviewed with 2 people that were 20 years younger than I am. I look good for my age. Good for you. How should I combat the ageism? I projected energy, but I am unsure. Fawn, check out my age discrimination video. Honest to God, there's the 3 magic bullets right there. Check that out. Oh, wait, I'm skipping around that. I don't know if I missed some folks here. Okay, let me pick out here one more. All right, here we go. Morgan Fielding, if you know who will be interviewing you and can find their LinkedIn profile, is it appropriate to look at it? Not only is it appropriate, it's almost bad form not to look at it. You need to do your homework. So that means investigating whoever you can and know as much about them as you possibly can. All right, so folks, I'm signing off because I'm now running late to a meeting. But if you love this, give me a thumbs up. Click the like button. Please share this. You are my very best source to reach out and help more people. The more people I help, the happier I am. If you have a question about the boot camp and you're interested and there's a boot camp page, there's a link in the job description. You can also email me at support@milewalk.com with your questions and just let me know. Maybe you've been jilted by another trainer. Maybe you're an existing Mile Walk Academy member. Let me know about that. But the boot camp is fantastic. Like I said, it's lifetime attendance. It's lifetime access to the program. It's a year's worth of ongoing support. That alone is another $228, and it's lifetime support. So 5 years from now, if you got a question about your career, you just go into the portal and you ask me. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the session. I love doing these for you. I'm back next Thursday. I'm not sure what time just yet, but I'm here next Thursday. I will see you then. But until then, oh wait, one last thing. If you are on my Tips for Work and Life subscription list, this weekend on Sunday, I'm sending you a warm email, warm meaning my heart warms, with a story and a backstory about interview intervention and an opportunity to get the interview intervention digital experience for free. That's the interview intervention book. It's the interview intervention audiobook. It's the chapter notes and guides and a bunch of other stuff. It's like $27 on the Mile Walk Academy right now. It's yours free if you check out the email on Sunday. I'm introducing you to some authors, and all you got to do is check out their book, and you can buy it on Kindle, and if you do that, I'll give you mine for free. There's nothing in it for me other than I just want to share this stuff with you and get to where you're going. And the other thing I want to let you know is I'm relaunching Interview Intervention, communication that gets you hired, in about a month or so, and it's a brand new cover, hardbound, all the goodies. And I'm looking for a couple of hundred people to be on a private Facebook group with me to help me circulate the message. Just pop out some social media messages for me, and I will give you the book anywhere in the world for free. I'll pay the shipping, even I'll pay the shipping, so no cost to you. You'll have a brand new book, the Interview Intervention book with the new cover, and I'm gonna give you some coaching inside the Facebook group, but I'm limiting it to 200 people. So if you're interested, just keep an eye out on your emails. That'll be coming in the next couple weeks as well. All right, I'm constantly looking for stuff to help you guys with and stuff to give you. Hit me in the comments. Let me know. Until next week, love you all. See you soon. Be good.